Now, I am not a prowler.
Now I am not a prowler. I am not a bartender. I am not the black guy from Designing Women. But we never had a period where we were really hostile towards one another. When we split up, it was painful, and it was very difficult. But do you know that Gregory Hines, the famous dancer and actor, kept a terrible secret? Many people loved him for his dancing skills and kind personality, but did you know he struggled with something very serious that he never shared? Born to do it. What was the secret that Gregory Hines took to his grave? How did it affect his life and career? Let's dive into the shocking truth behind this mystery. Even though the decision wasn't the king of tap dancing mine, to become a dancer, ultimately, I made the decision to stay with it. Gregory Hines was born on February 14, 1946, in New York City. He grew up in Washington Heights near Harlem. He was the second child of his parents, Alma and Maurice Hines Sr. His father was a musician and even played semi-pro baseball. Gregory's grandmother, Ora Hines, danced at the famous Cotton Club in the 1920s. I began dancing at 3. My parents gave my brother and I dance lessons, like parents give their children piano or violin, just something, I think, to round us out. Gregory always said he couldn't remember a time when he wasn't dancing. He and his older brother Maurice started young. Maurice was 5 years old, and Gregory was only 3 when they began tap dancing. Maurice was his first teacher, but their mother was the one who really pushed them to dance. She saw it as a way for them to escape the ghetto. Every week, she took them to the Apollo Theater to watch performances. By the time Gregory was 5, he and Maurice were already dancing at the Apollo Theater. That's where they met some of the greatest tap dancers ever, like Sandman Sims and Teddy Hale. Gregory once said that Teddy Hale was the first tap dancer he saw who made things up on the spot. That really inspired him. Tap dancing in those days was still a very incredible art form, and, so they pursued it for us. Gregory and Maurice performed under the name the Hines Kids. They learned from famous choreographer Henry Latang, one of the best tap dance teachers in the world. Henry saw something special in them. Out of 400 kids at their dance school, Maurice and Gregory stood out the most. Henry believed they could be as big as the Nicholas Brothers, one of the greatest tap dance duos in history. In 1954, when Gregory was only 8 years old, he and Maurice made their Broadway debut in a musical called The Girl in Pink Tights. Gregory played a shoeshine boy, while Maurice played a newspaper boy. At age 9, Gregory met one of his idols, Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy became his mentor and a huge influence on his career. Around the same time, something scary happened. While playing in a vacant lot in Brooklyn, Gregory fell on a tree stump, and it hit his right eye. He almost lost his vision. Though it affected him later in life, it never stopped him from dancing. Funny enough, Sammy Davis Jr. also lost one of his eyes, so Gregory felt a strange connection to him. He faced racism at a young age. I will always think of it as a place where I was able to grow up. I was able to learn a lot of things about myself. Gregory's journey was not always easy. He faced racism, family struggles, and the challenges of the entertainment business. When Gregory was about 11 years old, he had his first experience with racism. He was traveling with a musical group in Miami, Florida. Now, Gregory and his family were from up north, where things were different. One day, he went to get some water and saw 2 water fountains. One was labeled for whites and the other for colored. Being a kid from the north, he thought colored meant the water was actually colored, like juice or soda. So he went to drink from the white-only fountain. But before he could take a sip, 20 black cast members stopped him. They had to teach him about the South and how things worked there. That was the first time he truly understood racism. As teenagers, Gregory and his brother Maurice became known as the Hines brothers. Their father, who had been staying at home, decided to teach himself the drums. By 1963, he joined their act, and they changed their name to Hines, Hines and Dad. With their new act, they toured all over the world. They opened for big stars like Lionel Hampton and Gypsy Rose Lee. They were so good that other acts didn't want to perform after them because they couldn't compete. Even the legendary Ella Fitzgerald asked them to open for her. Even though Gregory was performing, his heart wasn't really in it. He was still young and wanted to hang out with his friends, play football, and spend time with his girlfriend. He even dreamed of becoming a football player. But he stayed in show business to support his family. In 1968, Gregory married a dance therapist named Patricia Pinella, and they had a daughter named Daria. Around that time, Gregory and Maurice were so popular that they were about to get their own TV show. This was before the Jeffersons, and they would have been the first black family with a TV series. But the people in charge said audiences wouldn't believe a black family on television. Can you imagine? That was a missed opportunity for history. After performing together for 10 years, Gregory and Maurice split up. They were constantly arguing, and Gregory had had enough. He was tired of the long hours, the endless traveling, and the money problems. Plus, he had developed a cocaine addiction, and it was taking a toll on him. Maurice, on the other hand, wanted to focus more on theater and acting. So they went their separate ways. He had a fallout with his brother. Because all my scenes were basically with Gregory, and because we knew how to work together, see, in the movie, all our scenes were never scripted. Gregory always loved music, that was his passion. But things didn't go as planned. He had a falling out with his brother Maurice, and they stopped talking for years. If they saw each other, they would just walk past without saying a word. That beef was serious. At the same time, his marriage was falling apart. When he heard the song Neither One of Us by Gladys Knight and the Pips, he broke down in tears. He knew his marriage was over, and he was leaving his wife and family. In 1973, Gregory and his wife divorced. After that, he moved to Venice, California. In California, he changed a lot. He grew his hair long, started smoking pot, drank a lot, and lived like a hippie. He also started a jazz rock band called Severance. He wrote songs, sang, and played the guitar. But making money wasn't easy. He took small jobs, worked in restaurants, and even became a karate instructor. One person who helped him was Bill Cosby. Bill loaned Gregory $5,000 to get back on his feet. Eventually, Gregory got married again to a woman named Pamela Coslow. But his music career wasn't taking off. He wrote songs, but no one wanted to record them. Warner Brothers even turned him down. He was struggling, broke, and his wife had to take care of him. Gregory decided to move back to New York. He wanted a better job and to be closer to his daughter from his first marriage. Once he got back, he made peace with his brother Maurice. Maurice helped him get a role in a play called The Last Minstrel Show, where Gregory tap danced and played drums. Gregory hadn't tap danced in 8 years. But once he got back into it, everything started falling into place. In 1979, he landed a role in the Broadway play Eubie. That was a big break for him. He was even nominated for a Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical. That same year, he and Maurice appeared on Sesame Street, teaching kids about near and far. Things kept getting better. Acting and dancing, but a lot of their scenes got removed. One of the most emotional parts of that movie was the argument between the two brothers. That scene wasn't just acting, it was real. Gregory and Maurice had actually split up in real life before filming, and that fight scene brought up all those real emotions. When the director said cut, they were still crying. Their parents were on set watching, and they were crying too. It was truly art imitating life. In 1986, he co-starred with Billy Crystal in Running Scared, a cop movie that was a huge hit. Gregory even won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Lead Actor. It was his first time as a lead actor in a major movie, and it was the same for Billy Crystal too. Gregory once said in an interview that he preferred taking roles originally written for white actors because they had more depth and variety. Now, the tap dancers think of this as like the Renaissance period. It's happening, but it's still a real struggle for tap dancers to make a living. Tap dancing is happening now. Back in the 70s, Gregory Hines had big dreams. During his hippie days, he had a band and wrote songs, but no one gave him a chance. His journey took a big turn in 1985 when he met Luther Vandross, the legendary R&B singer. Gregory was just doing his thing when Luther saw him performing on a rerun of Saturday Night Live. Luther was impressed by Gregory's voice and reached out to him, saying he wanted to produce for him. This meeting changed everything for Gregory. He started working with Luther Vandross, and they released a duet called There's Nothing Better Than Love, which became a big hit. It even hit #1 on the Billboard R&B charts. The song was on Luther's fifth album, Give Me the Reason, which had other amazing tracks like Stop to Love and So Amazing. Gregory's voice was a big part of that album's success. Luther also helped Gregory sign a record deal with Epic Records. In 1986, Gregory released his only album, which was self-titled. You should check it out if you haven't heard it yet. Gregory's career wasn't just about music. In 1988, he starred in a movie called Off Limits, where he played a military detective in Saigon, Vietnam. At first, the director wasn't sure if Gregory could handle the role because he'd never seen him in an action-packed movie, but Gregory proved them wrong, beating out actor Carl Weathers for the role. The next year, in 1989, Gregory starred in the classic movie Tap alongside Sammy Davis Jr., Savion Glover, and Suzanne Douglas. The movie Tap brought many true artists together. Sandman Sims, Bonnie Briggs, and Harold Nicholas were in it. And it was Sammy Davis Jr.'s last picture. It was a movie about tap dancing, and Gregory was a mentor to young Savion Glover, who was just 14 years old at the time. Gregory said that Savion was one of the best tap dancers ever, even better than he was himself. The movie also featured some legendary tap dancers like Bunny Briggs, Sandman Sims, and the Nicholas brothers, who did incredible tap dancing even in their later years. In 1989, Gregory also created and hosted Gregory Hines' Tap Dance in America, a PBS special celebrating tap dancing. He brought together veteran dancers and new talent to show off the art form. Gregory loved tap dancing and fought to make sure it was remembered. He even helped create National Tap Dance Day, celebrated every year on May 25, which is also the birthday of the famous tap dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson. Gregory was also involved in many tap dance organizations and worked to keep the tap dancing tradition alive. He was on the board of directors for the Manhattan Tap, the Jazz Tap Ensemble, and the American Tap Dance Foundation. Gregory always looked up to Sammy Davis Jr., and in 1990, when Sammy passed away, Gregory was deeply emotional. At Sammy's funeral, Gregory kissed his tap shoes in honor of his mentor. It was clear that Sammy had a big impact on Gregory's life and career. Gregory's career kept going strong. In 1991, he appeared in the movie Eve of Destruction and also played the character Goldie in the classic A Rage in Harlem, directed by Bill Duke. Some people compared A Rage in Harlem to Harlem Nights, but Gregory's fans loved it just the same. In 1992, Gregory Hines won a Tony Award for Best Actor in a Musical for playing Jelly Roll Morton. He even won another big award called the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Actor in a Musical. But by 1994, Gregory wanted to do something new. He wanted to work behind the scenes, so he became a director. His first movie as a director was called White Man's Burden, which was about an interracial relationship. That same year, he acted in Renaissance Man, playing Sergeant First Class Cass. Then, in 1995, Gregory starred in Waiting to Exhale as Marvin King, the neighbor of Loretta Devine's character, Gloria. It was a big role. Loretta Devine shared an interesting story about him in an interview. She said Gregory gave her roses on her first day of shooting, which made her feel special. She also said Gregory told her to lose weight after the movie, but it was all in good fun. Gregory's good friend Whitney Houston passed away, and now Angela Bassett says they can't do the Waiting to Exhale sequel they once planned. Gregory's death also added to the sadness. In 1996, Gregory starred in The Preacher's Wife with Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston. Fun fact, Denzel Washington originally thought about casting Julia Roberts for the role, but he ended up choosing Whitney. Gregory played Joe Hamilton in this movie. It's clear that Gregory Hines left a lasting impact on film. Gregory Hines was one of the greatest tap dancers of all time. He had an amazing career that touched many areas of entertainment. In 1996, he starred in a movie called The Cherokee Kid alongside comedian Sinbad. Then, in 1997, Gregory got his own sitcom called The Gregory Hines Show. He played the role of Ben Stevenson, a single dad trying to raise his 12-year-old son. Sadly, the show only lasted one season and was canceled after 16 episodes. But if you ever want to watch some of the episodes, you can find them on YouTube. In 1998, Gregory starred in a movie called The Tick Code. That same year, he went through a tough time in his personal life and divorced his wife, Pamela Coslow. The following year, in 1999, Gregory appeared on the TV show Will and Grace as Will's boss, Ben Doucette. The show won an Emmy Award for Best Comedy Series, but Gregory left the show early to direct a movie called The Red Sneakers for Showtime. Many people might not know, but Gregory was also the voice of a character named Big Bill in the popular children's show Little Bill, which was created by Bill Cosby. Gregory won a Daytime Emmy Award in 2003 for his performance on that show. In 2002, Gregory played his childhood hero, the legendary tap dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson, in a TV movie called Bojangles. For his amazing performance, Gregory won the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor in a Television Movie, Miniseries, or Dramatic Special. He also co-hosted the 56th Annual Tony Awards with Bernadette Peters that same year. Sadly, Gregory Hines passed away on August 9, 2003, from liver cancer. He died on his way to the hospital. His family and close friends were the only ones who knew about his illness. Doctors had told him that he had only 2 months to live, but Gregory fought hard and lived for 13 more months before losing the battle. At the time of his death, he was engaged to bodybuilder Negrita Jade and was still teaching tap dancing classes to others. In 2019, the United States Postal Service honored Gregory Hines with a postage stamp as part of their Black Heritage series. This was a huge achievement, showing how much Gregory meant to the world. His brother, Maurice Hines, who is also in the entertainment business, released a documentary called Maurice Hines, Bring Them Back, which shares stories about their lives and careers. Gregory's children, his daughter and son, also work in the entertainment industry. His protege, Savion Glover, has become one of the biggest tap dancers in the world. Gregory would be proud of how Savion is keeping the art of tap dancing alive. Gregory Hines was just 57 years old when he passed away. His legacy as a tap dance legend continues to inspire people all over the world. Rest in peace, Gregory, you will always be remembered.